Sil kept making fun of my husband for being a stay-at-home dad. I got angry and told everyone at her wedding dinner how my husband supported their whole family during tough times. My name is Sarah, 28F, and my husband is Jason, 29M. We met 6 years ago and have been married for 3 years. We also have a 1-year-old daughter. We met through my brother, who is good friends with Jason. Jason used to be a cop, and he often visited my brother's pizza place. They became friends, and one Thanksgiving, my brother brought Jason home. That's when we met, and soon after, I asked him out. We started dating, and after being together for 3 years, he proposed, and we got married. Before our wedding, I met Jason's family several times. Most of them were very nice to me, except for his sister, Janice, 27F. Even my mother-in-law was kind, but Janice wasn't. Jason kept telling me that Janice would eventually warm up to me, but she never did. She didn't openly show her dislike for me in front of others. Instead, she used subtle tactics like backhanded compliments and jokes that were actually insults. At first it really bothered me, but over time I learned to ignore her because I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of knowing she upset me. Janice never said anything mean in front of Jason, probably because she didn't want to risk turning him against her. Jason knew about the tension between us and made sure I was never left alone with her whenever we visited his family. I didn't want him to cut ties with his family or even with his sister because it wasn't worth the trouble over a few mean jokes and insults. So we handled the situation by not really handling it. We let her say whatever she wanted, and I tried my best to ignore it. Jason did the same. It wasn't ideal, but we didn't have much choice if we wanted to keep peace in the family. Looking back, I wish I had spoken up and stopped this behavior from the start instead of being self-conscious and afraid to defend myself. I didn't want to be seen as the woman who gets upset over small things and causes family problems, so I stayed quiet for a long time. But recently, I couldn't stay quiet anymore after what happened. Jason was a cop, but he quit a few months ago to become a stay-at-home dad. I'm a trauma surgeon, so I have a demanding job. We have a daughter, and balancing work and family was tough. Both our jobs are high pressure, and we didn't have much time to spend at home. We used daycare, and our parents helped out, but it wasn't enough. We felt like we were missing out on our daughter's childhood. About a year ago, Jason and I had a serious talk about our situation. Jason decided to quit the force to spend more time with our daughter. He made this decision because I earned more money than he did, and he believed it was only fair for him to stay home so our daughter would have one of us around most of the day. I didn't force him. He chose this path himself. I asked him many times if he was sure about this because I knew how much he loved being a cop. I wanted to make sure he wouldn't resent me for it. But he seems really happy taking care of our home and our daughter, so I don't think he has any regrets. The last time Jason and I talked about his new role as a stay-at-home dad was a few weeks ago. He said that, at first, it was a bit hard to adjust after working for so many years, but it got easier over time because he loved spending time with our daughter. He seems very happy with his life now. He told me that his dream job used to be being a cop, but now it's being a father, and he finds that beautiful. However, his family doesn't see it that way. I should have expected this because his family is quite traditional. They allow women to work, and many women in his family have jobs. But the men in his family don't do any household chores because they think it's beneath them. So the women end up doing all the housework along with their jobs, or they are forced to quit their jobs, like my mother-in-law. What's crazy is that they don't see anything wrong with this and think it's completely fine. Jason and I have talked about this and agree that it's a ridiculous way to think. But we never brought it up with his family because they would just make silly arguments to defend their outdated views. We didn't want to get into that. If they're happy living that way, who are we to judge? Thankfully, Jason and I have always shared everything equally. Sometimes he even did more of the household chores when I worked late. Now he takes care of everything at home while I earn the money. It doesn't matter who does what as long as we're happy, healthy, and have food on the table. However, his parents and sister strongly disagree with Jason's decision to quit the force and stay at home with our daughter. They think it makes him less of a man and have been arguing with him about it for months. At first, I tried to step in and help, but Jason's parents made it clear that my interference would only make things worse. Jason also didn't want me to get involved because he didn't want to drag me into the mess, so I stayed out of it. Eventually, they started to accept our new arrangement and hadn't mentioned it for several months. They were also distracted by Janice's upcoming wedding. Her boyfriend of 2 years, Harry, 27M, proposed, and the excitement over their engagement took the spotlight off Jason. We were grateful for the distraction because it gave us a break from the arguments about Jason quitting his job. We thought the issue had finally blown over. However, at Janice's rehearsal dinner yesterday, the topic came up again, and I had an outburst. With Janice getting married tomorrow, this has become urgent, and we need to figure out how to handle it quickly. Any advice would be appreciated as this is time sensitive. While we were at dinner, Jason and I were sitting across from Janice and Harry. Other family members were around us, and we were all having a normal, fun conversation. I was relieved that we were finally getting along with Jason's family again, especially after how upset everyone had been when Jason quit the force. I thought things were back to normal, but then Janice changed the topic and asked me how my work was going. I felt uneasy, but I answered because it was a normal, innocent question. I knew where she was headed, though. I told her my work was great and left it at that, hoping she wouldn't drag it out. But then she asked Jason how his work was going and made a joke about how his job lets him take time off without worrying since his life is now a long vacation living off my income. She didn't stop there. She made more jokes, saying at least now everyone knows who wears the pants in our family. She continued to make fun of Jason while he quietly tried to ignore it and smile, trying to be a good sport. But I couldn't handle it, and I lost control. I told everyone at the table how Jason supported their entire family during hard times, reminding them how he had been there for them. It was a big outburst, and now, with Janice's wedding just a day away, we need to figure out what to do quickly. This is an emergency, and we need advice fast. It was probably years of Janice getting on my nerves and months of dealing with Jason's family's annoying beliefs that finally made me snap. I decided to bring up something nobody wanted to hear. I told her that she could make as many jokes as she wanted, but Jason was still a better man and a better person than everyone in their family combined. I told her she had some nerve making fun of Jason, especially since she wouldn't have been able to go to college or meet Harry if it weren't for him. Jason had been giving money to his parents to help them out ever since he was 18. Nobody likes talking about it because it was a dark period in their lives, but Jason's father lost his job when Jason was still in high school. Janice was too spoiled and oblivious to notice the problems in her family. Her parents and Jason decided to do their best to make sure she didn't find out about their financial struggles, so they never said no to anything she wanted, even when they were struggling to make ends meet. Jason had to take on 2 jobs to support his family while his father searched for decent paying work. They managed for about a year with Jason's support and some savings. Janice never knew about their struggles because her family kept it a secret, and she was oblivious to everything until I brought it up at the rehearsal dinner. She and everyone else were shocked because it was a big secret no one was supposed to talk about. But after almost a decade, I finally brought it up, and now she knew how much she owed to her brother. She had no right to make fun of him or put him down like she was doing. Others might have kept quiet to protect her, especially Jason, but I couldn't. After I spoke up, there was silence at the table. Jason and I left, walking back to our hotel room without speaking. Even there, we didn't discuss what happened at dinner. I knew it would become a big deal, and so did he. But his silence told me he didn't think I did anything wrong, so there was no need to talk about it further. When I woke up the next morning, I heard knocking on our door. It was Jason's parents, and they wanted to talk to me right away. Jason let them in, and we sat down to talk. They told me that the family wanted me to apologize to Janice because what I said at dinner was something they had kept from her for a long time, and they didn't think it was right for me to bring it up. They said I ruined the evening because Janice was upset and couldn't stop crying. They claimed Janice was just joking with Jason, like siblings do, so I shouldn't have gotten defensive and revealed such a big secret. Now Janice felt guilty and kept apologizing to her parents. She was having a total meltdown, and this was exactly why they didn't want her to know the truth about what happened years ago. They think she is very sensitive and can't handle the truth, and maybe that's true if she's reacting this way. Now they want me to apologize to her and the rest of the family for my outburst. They also want me to tell her that I didn't mean what I said at dinner and fix things. I have the rest of the day to decide, but they want me to do this before her wedding tomorrow. There's a 1-day gap between the rehearsal dinner and the wedding because some of her friends are arriving today, and she planned it that way. So I have until the evening to decide what to do. Jason thinks I shouldn't apologize because I was standing up for him, and she's always been rude to me. He says it's about time I stood up for myself, and I have nothing to regret. I also feel the same way, but I wouldn't feel right knowing I caused someone to have a breakdown right before their wedding. Most of her family thinks I should apologize, but they are biased. Jason's opinion is also biased, just in my favor. So for a neutral opinion, I've turned to Reddit. Thanks for mentioning how my husband helped his family before, especially since my sister-in-law kept mocking him for being a stay-at-home dad. Update 1. It's evening now, and after reading the comments, I've decided I have nothing to apologize for. Jason and I are packing our stuff to leave because it would be awkward to stay and not apologize, then attend her wedding tomorrow. We're going to tell his parents we're leaving, so it isn't rude or like we're disappearing without saying anything. Jason and I discussed this a few hours ago, and he agrees it's the right thing to do because Janice has always been insensitive and rude without reason. It's time she faces some consequences. He also told me it had become increasingly hard for him to deal with his family since he quit his job. He had expected their support, but instead, they were bringing him down and making him feel bad for wanting to spend time with our daughter. We always knew his family had outdated, sexist attitudes about work and household chores, but we hoped they would change. We gave them a chance, but they chose to stick to their old beliefs instead of evolving with the times. So if we decide to stop talking to them, it's their fault for not supporting us. We're happy with our lives, and if they can't be happy for us, we don't want their negative energy around. They've been constantly negative and critical of our choices for months. Now, we're ready to say goodbye to them. Honestly, Jason and I have only been staying around out of obligation, but we can't tolerate this behavior anymore. We've both put up with enough disrespect disguised as jokes and concern. It's necessary for us to draw a line and let people know that this line is not to be crossed anymore. We are not going to take it. We teach people how we want to be treated, and we've been setting a bad example for ourselves. But that ends now. So now everyone is going to learn how we want to be treated. If they can't respect us and our choices, they can stay out of our lives. Update 2. Jason and I are back home now. Things didn't go well with his parents when we told them we weren't going to apologize and were leaving because we didn't feel comfortable attending the wedding after what happened. They had obviously expected us to suck it up and apologize because they completely freaked out when Jason told them we were leaving and wouldn't be attending the ceremony. They started yelling at us, saying we couldn't leave because that would raise a lot of questions, and they didn't want us to ruin Janice's wedding. Jason's mom insisted we had to be at the ceremony and that whatever issues we had should be sorted out later. Jason told her we weren't comfortable being there because it was clear Janice and the rest of the family didn't respect us, especially since they expected us to apologize for standing up for ourselves. They had been treating us badly was because Jason quit his job. We weren't okay with this behavior anymore, so this was us putting our foot down because we'd had enough. After we said that, Jason's parents told us we were being very egotistic and selfish and said we needed to think about the repercussions of our actions. They said that us not being at the ceremony after attending all the other events would seem strange, and that the whole day would become about our fight, taking the focus away from Janice and her wedding. We argued a bit more, and then Janice herself showed up. She had a room right next to her parents and overheard the yelling. Once she was there, her parents filled her in, and she told us she was fine with us not coming to the wedding and would actually prefer it that way. She addressed me directly and said she didn't have a problem with Jason attending the wedding, but he wouldn't come without me, and I was the last person she wanted there. She called me selfish and vindictive and said the only reason. I ruined her rehearsal dinner because I wanted to create trouble at her wedding. So then we got into a petty argument, which I regret because we really could have done without it. But that gave us an excuse to leave without more fuss. They didn't try to stop us as we left, and that was a relief because we didn't have it in us to put up an even bigger fight. So she can go ahead with her wedding, and Jason and I hope it goes well, but we don't want anything to do with her or his parents anymore. We might consider mending our relationship if they apologize, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. For now, both of us are just relieved to be home. Our daughter had been staying with my parents, but we picked her up on our way back. Jason is currently playing with her as I type out this update. This is my favorite space, and I don't care what anybody else says about it. Our family is just perfect the way it is. Update 3. Hey guys, this update is coming a day after the wedding. We weren't there, but we heard that there was a lot of talk about us on the day of the wedding, mostly from Janice herself. It's ironic that her parents were worried that our absence would lead to a lot of questions from other people, and the day would end up being more about us and our fight with Janice than about her. But it seems Janice leaned into that idea and made her wedding day more about us herself. There were a few distant relatives who hadn't been at the rehearsal dinner to witness my outburst, but they heard all about it from Janice after the ceremony. Apparently, she didn't stop talking about our fight the entire day and was really milking the drama. Good for her, I guess. I can't say I expected any better from her. The downside of what she did is that now people who aren't very close to the family are reaching out to Jason to ask about the drama. Everyone wants to feel involved and get to the bottom of this. We haven't been entertaining it, and I don't think we will, because we don't want anything to do with his family unless they apologize. Since it doesn't seem like they have any intention of apologizing, we're just going to stay out of the drama and let them do their thing. We've tried to be as vague as possible while responding to people texting Jason because we want to take the high road and not engage. That would only lead to more fighting and drama since Janice pretty much lives for it. His family would definitely have a field day if they found out we were talking about them behind their backs, even though they were doing the same thing to us. We just don't want to get into it, so we're going to do what we've done all these years and ignore everyone.